Thanks for watching Sunburn Country Music interviews. This one is with Coral Renee, an up-and-coming artist from New South Wales. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, perhaps like and subscribe. That'd be great. Coral Renee is a 19-year-old singer-songwriter from New South Wales who is already a graduate of the CMAA Junior Academy of Country Music and the Talent Development Project. I was going to say program, no, project. She was a top five finalist in 2TM Discovered this year and last year won the open section in the Australian National Busking Championship heats at the entrance. She has released several singles, and the latest is The Devil Wears Cowgirl Boots, which is a coming of age tale with a twist, shall we say. I'm going to talk to her about a few things. Hello, Coral.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
It's great to have you on, and I have to start by asking about not only the neon lettering behind you, if anyone is and they're missing out on seeing your name up in lights, literally.
Yeah, so I think I got this one about a year ago. And my dad actually got it for me. He surprised it with me just one random night. I walked in the house and he's like, go in the music room, and it's all like bright pink in here. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. We know I love pink, and yeah, it was just that's amazing to, have a little filming backdrop and just something to always be there.
And anyone who's listening and not watching can't see you with a pink cowgirl necklace on either. So
Yeah.
it's on theme. Yeah.
Yeah, and pink hair and pink shirt. I love pink. I always wear it. It's kind of become a thing with my music, and I really enjoy the color.
And you have a song named after it. But I tend to find everyone's made happy by pink. Whenever I wear it, someone compliments me on it. I don't even think they necessarily know why. I just think pink makes people happy.
Yeah, it's a really positive color, and I think it's one of like self-expression as well, is what I've always associated with. So I think I want to show that, and it's also a color of, feminism and empowerment. So I love to wear that and express that kind of message.
So I'm interested in you saying that you feel it's a color of self-expression. Do you mean that because it's a color that actually not a lot of people wear? Because if you walk around the streets of Sydney, for example, a lot of people are in dark colors. They're not wearing anything remotely resembling pink.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite bright, it's quite out there. And I think for me personally, when I was little and, in primary school, there's this kind of thing that pink is only for girls, and for some reason that's associated with weakness. It's an odd pairing, but when you're little, I think that really kind of gets to you.
Mm.
So little me was like, no, my favorite color is blue, as a lot of girls do.
Okay.
Um, and as I was growing up, I stopped at that for a little while, and then I started to realize how silly all of that was to put on a color.
Mhm.
And one year I decided I wanted to dye my hair bright pink.
Yeah.
And, I'd only ever had blonde hair before. I'd never done anything to it.
Wow.
And mom was like, are you sure? And I was like, yep. So we dyed it bright pink, and it just felt like more me than ever. So I think that's where I associate it with self-expression,
Mhm.
and just the fact of becoming into who I am. And then as I started kind of writing country music, I started going more into this pink outfits and sparkle. And that's when I wrote pink as my color, and it all just fell into place. And that's why it's so special to me. And I really want to share that with a younger audience and show them to express themselves as well.
I think what's interesting also about pink being associated with girls that apparently during the 19th century it was actually the color for little boys, and then
Yeah.
something changed.
Yeah, something changed. And there's a lot of little things like that. Like men used to wear heels and little things like that. So I think, yeah, one of my main messages through my music is be who you are and always express yourself completely. Be unique.
Yeah. So that you do have an accent, which I will ask about because otherwise someone who's listening might think she's not entirely Australian because the accent sounds like you've been here for a while, but not your
Yeah.
whole life, obviously.
Yeah, so I was born here actually, but both of my parents are American, and obviously that's a very strong accent. So growing up with them, I've kind of, drawn on that, learned their pronunciation.
Mm.
So my mom grew up in Florida and my dad grew up in Chicago.
Mm.
And I've been back a few times, but I've always lived here, and I just think that the American accent is so strong. I've just picked up parts of it.
So Florida and Chicago, two very different parts of the states. Does that mean when you go back, you get like a beach holiday and then a bit of cold in the
I
Midwest?
actually haven't been to Chicago.
Okay.
So, my dad's family all ended up moving to Florida. So everyone's in Florida. I just get a big beach holiday. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Everyone, it's and convenient if they're all in the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you went to the Junior Academy a couple of years ago, and you obviously had quite a musical background before that. So I'm interested in when you started your musical life and whether it was as on an instrument or as a singer, because to get into the academy, it's not just, oh, one day I'm going to do this thing for a lark. You have to apply. It's quite serious business.
Mm. Yeah, I started when I was quite young, as a lot of people did, just singing. But I was always drawn to getting a guitar. And I got it in primary school. I got my first one. I started guitar lessons, I started singing lessons, and just started building that. And then I started busking when I was very, very little. So, I had that cuteness factor. But it was very fun. It was a great way to kind of get rid of that stage fright. And I think that's really helped me later on with that, background. And then I started doing little gigs in pubs and cafe venues, and I started that in like my young teens. So we
Mhm.
started that, and I was already writing. I was always interested in writing, even when I was very little, just little made up songs. They weren't good, but I was writing. And then I went into this kind of indie, dark, scary route, I think, because I was a teen and that was easy emotion to access. Um, and I'd always listened to country music, but right before going to Junior Academy, I'd got in. It was a week before I was going, and I was like, I've never written a country song. I'm going to be so out of place. So I sat down and I wrote my first country song, which is Masquerade, which is already
Oh.
released. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that was the first one. And it kind of everything just clicked, and it was the best song that I'd written yet. And it really felt way more me than what I'd been doing before.
Mhm.
And that very next day, I sat down and I wrote The Devil Wears Cowgirl Boots, my new song. So I
Mhm.
always say, very good day.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I took that to Junior Academy. And I think that's where I met, peers that were doing country music and young people doing the same thing. And I felt really accepted there.
Mhm.
And I started to feel like that was the path I was going on with my music. And ever since then, I've been writing country and, hanging out in the country community. It's such a beautiful place to be.
It is indeed. So I'm interested, therefore, because you applied for the Academy of Country Music but hadn't been listening to or playing country music. So was it just a because I can't imagine there are many professional development opportunities for young people under the age of 18, and it is under 18. So how did you hear about it?
Yeah, so I'd always listened to country, kind of Taylor Swift, and then moved into Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert.
Mhm.
But I think it was my mom just saw something on Facebook about Junior Academy of Country Music, and there isn't a lot of opportunities like that where you're in a program with other young people who are like-minded. And she was like, "Why don't you just give it a go, sign up?" So I sent in my application, and then there I was, and now I've fallen into this whole country music industry. It was like I just got sucked in straight through there, but yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I'm really glad I got to do it.
So you took those two songs with you to Academy, but of course, Academy involves songwriting. So how
Yes.
many songs did you manage to get through while you were there?
Yeah, so when I was there, I just wrote one in a co-write with David Carter,
Mhm.
and that was one of my first co-writes. Actually, I wrote 2 songs while I was there. I wrote a song with a friend while I was there. But writing with David Carter, that was one of my first co-writing experiences, and we wrote this song called Porcelain, which I still play to this day. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, probably. And yeah, it was amazing to kind of try that co-writing thing. I will admit we did struggle at the start of the session because I was brand new to it. But now that I've done so much co-writing, I kind of know how it goes now, but I still think that was an amazing experience for my first co-write.
So, because yeah, I think artists who are used to writing on their own, the co-writing thing would be quite tricky, but it is very much an accepted practice, especially within country music, it seems. So, I wouldn't mind betting you found some co-writing partners there, apart from the mentors you had.
Yeah, so co-writing was very scary at first because it's scary to share that part of you with somebody else, especially when you've just met them. But there was a bunch of other people my age there who are just amazing friends, and I still hang out with them going to country music festivals. I see them everywhere. But particularly one of my best friends now, her name's Lucy Beveridge, and
Mhm.
we've written some songs together. We hang out all the time. So, you kind of find like one of your people there that you just click with and you can write with anytime.
So it's quite a step, I think, to do that because Academy, I should actually, before I get to, I was going to talk about recording and releasing, but I should also point out that Academy has a graduation concert attached, and that's full on because I think yours was the year I actually saw, and Lynn Votel, the Academy director, invited me to come in and just see a snippet, like a really brief snippet of your rehearsal. And that was a couple of days before the performance. And when I saw the performance, I thought, I don't know what has happened in the interim, but these young people have worked so hard. But it's pretty intense, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's an intense experience. It's a massive concert to put on and so many people. But it was amazing to work within the groups and with the mentors who were so experienced and could teach you little things about performance that you could just like add into your performance in that week. Just little things you can make changes to that make a big improvement. I also have a lot of put a lot of credit to that concert because one of the main things it taught me, which is really interesting, was how to sing harmonies. I'd never been able to do it,
Mhm.
but I could listen to someone else sing it to me and then sing it back.
Mhm.
So my mentors would give me the harmony, and I remember specifically Lynn Botel was just like, "Here's the harmony. Get on stage. You're doing it." And that's how I learned to sing harmony. She said, "Just do it."
Yeah, look, she's a good director. She's very firm
She
about what's
is.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just needed that little push, and yeah, that's one of the main things I think I took out of it, which is just a really interesting little story.
Well, I think it also means you might pop up on other people's songs, right? Like you might be asked to do backing vocals for some of your fellow graduates. I should
Yeah,
say,
I
fellow
think
grad-
that could be so fun to do some backing vocals in the future.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a step though from Academy. So that was only 2 years ago, and you've already recorded and released some music. It's not necessarily something that goes with that because Junior Academy, you're under 18, you're still learning what you're doing, figuring out who you want to be as an artist, I would imagine. So what stage did you decide, yes, I'm going to release some things?
Yeah, so I'd kind of written a few things and I'd always been towing the line of, going into the studio. Um, But I wrote, I think it was Pink is My Color and then a few songs around it, and they were all feeling that kind of, same vibe, same sound, and I was really proud of each of them, and I think it was something that I never felt before with my other songs. With them, I knew if I released them, now, I'd still be happy with them in years. They wouldn't be songs I look back on and go, "Oh, I wish I didn't release that." So, once I had my little batch, I thought, okay, let's start looking at producers. And I found Simon Johnson, who was amazing to work with. And yeah, I just thought, let's go for it. Let's go in the studio. Let's see how this works.
And then to release it because of course this age of streaming it's even though streaming is probably what you know mostly, I'm sure you still have ideas of how records should be released as they used to be released. So how did you even go about doing that?
Yeah, so I had an artist mentor last year, Haley Jensen. So
Ah,
she kind of helped me through each of the steps. She was really helpful, absolutely lovely person. But you've got these songs recorded, and then you're like, where do I go from here? What's the right way to do this? There's so many different ways. And she pointed me in the directions of each of the steps to go through, and she pointed me in the direction of Nardia from Rock This Country.
mhm.
So she's my publicist now, and working with her helped me with my radio and these interviews and everything like that. So she's been great at organizing that, and Haley helped me with all of those little things behind the scenes that you might miss.
Mhm.
But then I got it all together, and we just started going from there. And I feel like now I kind of know what I'm doing, so I feel like I can keep doing it again.
Yeah, well, it certainly seems like you do. And yeah, a mentor, I didn't even contemplate that, but what a great idea. I suppose it's not necessarily something where there's a mechanism for people to find a mentor, but clearly for an emerging artist, so valuable.
Yeah, it's very valuable, and for someone who's done everything before, just that they can teach you all these little things that you'd never even know about, and now I have my own checklist of what I need to do when I'm releasing, so it's really just that they teach it to you and then you can go on with your career. I think it's really beautiful to pass down that information and share with your other artists.
Absolutely. So the studio is a different experience again. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I felt right at home. I was like, "This is amazing." Um, I was working with Simon. He's an amazing producer. Um, and he just asked for what songs do you kind of want the vibe to sound like? Like, what sound are you looking for? when we went through that with each of my tracks, and he had an amazing band there, all amazing professional musicians. And I think the really beautiful part of that is I play acoustic guitar, I sing. Those are my main things. But, on acoustic guitar, I'm not someone who can strike out a solo or do the fancy guitar finger picking or anything like that. So, I brought in one of my songs and the guitarist might go, "Hey, do you like how this sounds?" And I was like, "Yes, definitely." And so they can add all these little musical ideas that I would have never thought of. But in the same way, once you put it all together, it's exactly how I thought the song would kind of, turn out in the end. Like they got the sound, but just all these little things that I would never know because I don't play the instruments, they
Mhm.
just handled that perfectly.
Yeah. So last year, so Academy in 2023, last year, the Talent Development Project. Now I've heard of this before and it sounds like it's like a massive enterprise, basically. So what was your part in it?
Yeah, so Talent Development Project is a big program. It's for New South Wales government schools. And basically, at the start of the program, you all apply and they take, I think it's 40 students into the program. Then there is three phases of the program, which each have a certain number of workshops within them. But at the end of each phase, people get cut. So you go from 40 students to the very end, you have 10. So
Right.
it's very intensive, but it is a really good program. You do a lot of songwriting, so they give you these tasks and you have to bring them in the next month and with this whole song you've written, and they do very well like on constructive criticism. You also do a bit of musical theater for storytelling skills. So they just give you all these different little tasks that kind of open up new little worlds to learn from. And yeah, as I said, people get cut each stage, but it's about who is learning from the program and really benefiting from it. And at the end, the last phase is the most fun because you're so close to, with everyone who's left, and you get to do like a little photo shoot. You go into the recording studio, record one song each, and then you do a concert at the ICC at the end, which is a massive venue. So it was absolutely amazing to do.
So obviously you did make it through to the end because you got to
I
do all
did I
this.
did make it through to the end, which it was stressful. Each time you get an email, it's like, "Did I get in?"
Yeah.
Um, but, it was very worth it, and they do give the best constructive criticism. They're very honest about things, and you can take and pick and choose what you take, but it's good to have somebody that you know is gonna tell you their honest opinion.
Mhm.
Um, and the other 10 artists who made it to the end, absolutely amazing, great friends of mine and, beautiful musicians, amazing singers, songwriters. But now I've got these friends who are in different kind of genres as well.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting to have. I have the country music community, but I also have these indie artists and stuff that I can go to and work with as well.
Yeah. And it strikes me also that you love to learn things, which means that you're probably going to get even more opportunities because you're open to them.
Yeah, I love all different genres. I love learning different things. I'm someone who just likes to draw from different places. Like I said before, I do listen to country music. I listen to a little bit of rap, a little bit of Eminem, some rock music, even emo music sometimes. So it's a crazy world of my Spotify. But just I like to draw from these different places, and I think I go through phases of listening to different styles of music, and I think you can see that in the next song that I write. You can see the little influence. So it's really interesting, and I just love to draw from different places.
So you mentioned that you started busking when you were young. Do you remember what age it was?
Not really like maybe like 8, young,
Okay, so
little.
if we think about that, you were 8. I can't even imagine. I was playing piano at that age, but I can't imagine busking. So you were 8 and now at 19. So you've been through Academy and the Talent Development Project, and you've had all these goals. I would imagine that you have hit. It's not a long period of time, particularly at a part of your life when you're changing a lot. You're still working out who you are and deciding what to do. So I'm interested in the role music has played for you in developing who you are. You mentioned earlier about how you like to encourage other young people to express themselves. So has music to an extent not been your identity, but helped form your identity?
Yeah, I think it has helped form my identity. I mean, it's made me, all this appearance-wise, that has happened through music. And I think I just became a lot more confident in expressing myself as an artist. I'm quite a shy person and I always have been. So just those little things like getting out and busking when I was so little, that really gave me confidence in music. Like maybe when I hop off stage, I'm a little more shy again, but
Mhm.
whenever I'm on stage, I'm a big personality. And I think slowly as I've gotten older, that personality that I can have on stage, I'm starting to take more of it into me just out and about, which is really helpful because, you know, when you're really shy, you can't make all these networking connections and things like that.
Yeah.
So, taking that from stage Coral to, you know, off stage Coral, it's
Yeah.
really good to just take little aspects from that because it is true me, but it's me on a heightened level.
Hmm.
And that's something I always love to be bubbly, positive. So I want to take that into my real life as well.
I mean, there is a phrase called "fake it till you make it," which is not what it sounds like because it
Mm.
implies that you actually can't do what you're faking to do. But I do think it's that thing of yeah, keep if you just do something, even if you doubt that you can, that it starts to change you on a cellular level almost.
Yeah, and I think even I was saying to my mom the other day, there's things that I do for music that I'd never ever do otherwise. Like I went to film content for my social media and I went to this graffiti tunnel, public, plenty of people there, all dressed up in my cowboy gear and a dress and everything. That's something I'd never do. And then filmed videos for hours in
Yeah,
there for my social media, with people looking. And, you know, that me as a shy person, that's something I never do. But it was for music and it was for the social media content. So I did not hesitate a second when I
yeah.
thought graffiti tunnel. I just went there. And when I got there, I realized I was like, this is totally out of my nature. But, you know, music is something I just do anything for.
Right, right. I think you're also probably the first generation of artists who have grown up with social media. Like you can't remember a time really before well, you wouldn't have had accounts when you were children, but you know what I mean, like adults were on
Yeah.
Instagram, those sorts of things. So the understanding of content and what it means to your career, I think for artists who are of older generations, they kind of have to retrofit themselves to social media, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, everything I knew I have to shift now and get my head around social media. For you, this would be quite natural, but does that mean you enjoy it?
I actually do. I know a lot of people don't, but social media is actually something that I do enjoy. I like promoting my content on there because I think I love visual content to accompany a song, and I love personality style content and fashion content. For me, it is something that I actually do enjoy. But I know there's a lot of artists who are my age and did grow up, you know, at the same time as me who don't like it as much, and I completely understand that side of things too. So I think social media is a bit of a double-edged sword, but I think if you enjoy the content you're making, then it can be positive, and I think it's another way to spread your message and reach an audience. And I think even like on TikTok, I've created a quite a positive community over there
Mhm.
of people, and I think it's just another way to get that little message over. So I do quite enjoy it. But yeah, I think it's a very you know, it has its downsides as well.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, yeah. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, and also, for it to be part of your artistry, really, because it's not just the visual brand. There's some theory I saw a little while ago saying that because the music clips on TikTok are so short, that songs themselves might become that length. So I think for you as an
Yeah.
artist who has all this to play with now, quite interesting to think, okay, well, do I want to make a little song that's kind of TikTok length and see how that goes?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really interesting idea. And I think there is some things that, you know, take away from the art form and things like that that might get a little scary, but I think when you're using social media to support the craft that you make and support the art that you make, I think that's really positive. I think if you put the music first and, you know, you create this big song, you spend so much money on promoting it and things like that. I think it's really important to then go to social media and give it a shot on there.
Mhm.
You never know what can happen. People might really connect with it. Social media, the algorithms are crazy and unpredictable, but
Yeah.
I think it's so worth it when you put all your heart into something to
Mhm.
then try and share it to people in any way you can.
Yeah, and because the avenues of traditional media are simply not what they used to be. It's not as if you can get on every radio station, and talk about it. You can get on some radio stations, but those radio stations have changed so much. Yeah, it is tricky, but I have every confidence you will be fine.
Yeah, and I think the radio stations being really supportive, the ones that do support country music and independent artists, we love them. That is absolutely amazing to be able to get our music on, radio. And I think the thing about social media as well to me is that it's a direct line to an audience. It's a direct line to each person. So instead of having to go through different avenues, you are directly talking to the person. Even
Mhm.
though it's through a screen, you are, it's a direct communication line, and I think that's really beautiful as well.
And I think it sounds like this is something that's a continuum of what you've been doing since you were 8, basically, which is communicating to an audience. That makes it.
Yeah, I guess it kind of is. I guess it's exactly the same thing. It's just there's a little screen in between us, but you
Yeah.
can reach people all over the world and have a start a conversation. So yeah.
Mhm. Now we will talk about the new single, which is "The Devil Wears Cowgirl Boots." And the first time I heard it, I was thinking, "Oh, this is interesting. This is an interesting story." And then I thought, "This is quite a dark. It's a kind of like a dark twist going on." So, what was the inspiration for it?
Yeah, so the Devil Wears Cowgirl Boots, it's definitely a bit of a darker and more grungy vibe than my usual stuff.
Mhm.
But when I wrote it, I don't know if you are familiar with the movie The Devil Wears Prada. I
Yes,
love
oh,
that movie.
very familiar, particularly Meryl
And
Streep's part in
I
it.
think that's where the idea kind of clicked into my brain. But I was just sitting there one day and I was like, The Devil Wears Cowgirl Boots. How cool. So I sat on my bed and I started writing the first line and I wrote the first line down. I was like, this is gonna be good. Like from the first line, I was like, yeah, we got this. Um, and I wrote this story is a female, and I see her as someone who's grown up in a small town, and I think she's a bit more expressive than everyone else. Obviously, in the song, it references things like knives, so she could be evil, thief, or something like that. But as I said with my music before, I try to keep it being who you are. So I think this female character, she's very expressive, she's very confident, and just people might not like her as much for that. And throughout the song, she passes that on to a younger girl. And I think she teaches her how to be confident and how to express herself completely. So in the song, she passes down her boots, and the original female, she passes away, and the other girl, takes the boots from her. And yeah, it was a really cool story to play with, something I'd never really done before. And the grungy and dark vibe, that was very interesting for me as well.
Yeah, because it was kind of ambiguous as to exactly how she died. Like,
Mm,
so-
yeah, there's a lot of things that are left to the open in the song. So you can interpret her however you want, and you can interpret the young girl's emotion how you want. But it's really interesting because it's a really strong story, but then there's little things that are just like little tweaks that are left open. How did she die? Was she evil? Was she really evil? Or is that how she was perceived? So that's really interesting for the audience to look into.
Absolutely. And there is a video to go with it, and you have some dances, I think 3 dances from memory in this video. One of them sort of plays the title character.
Yeah, so my 3 dancers, Keisha, Anna, and Riley, they were amazing to work with. I grew up dancing, so since I was 3 years old, I've been a dancer. So I, have a very strong appreciation for that art form as well. And as I said before, I love visual content, so I love music videos. One of my favorite parts of releasing, love dance, love music, love art. So I'm just a very creative person. So when it came to the music video, I thought I needed heels dancers. It was just in my head, I was like, that's exactly the vibe we're going for. And obviously, growing up as a dancer, I have a lot of friends in dance. So I just asked one of my best friends, hey, do you know any dancers who'd be good fit for this video? And they're all just professionals coming out of dance training in school and going into the industry. So it's, you support each other with other creatives. We're kind of at the same level of our journey. So they came out to help me out, and they were absolutely amazing dancers. When I saw them in person, I was like, wow, stunning. And we filmed the video in this bar. It was a beautiful venue called Jerry Sent Me. Yeah, it was the perfect venue. We filmed the video with roaming creatives, so Josh and Tracy, who are good friends of mine as well and do all my videos. And um, I've loved every video they've done. And this one, and I have no idea which one's my favorite. They're all totally different vibes. But yeah, music videos, definitely one of my favorite parts of releasing music.
So I would imagine, given this productivity, that you have some plans for future releases, probably not in the distant future either.
Yeah, I have more music recorded, so that's still being worked on in the background. I released my 3 singles now, so we're looking at maybe another single, maybe an EP this year, which is really exciting, doing a bit of a bigger project. So yeah, and then I'll have to get back in the studio at some point and record some more. I have so much music that I've written in the background. I think it's always interesting to note that these songs that I'm releasing now, I wrote 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's really exciting to look at what I'm writing now and go, okay, I'm excited to like get this out next. So I think the audience is always just this little step behind, and I've got a little secret ahead of like what the next sound is and everything. So I think it'd be great to get back in the studio, record some more stuff, and start preparing for the next few years.
Mm-hmm. So live gigs wise, do you have a regular spot that you play, or are you just looking ahead to Tamworth, for example?
Yeah, so I play pub gigs almost every weekend. I play at a brewery called Dad and Dave's in Brookvale. I play a lot at Laughing Boy Cafe and 2773 in the Blue Mountains.
Okay.
Um, and I play at Flat Rock and Willoughby. So those are some of my main spots. And then sometimes I'll go off to some others. So love doing those every week. Great for vocal stamina and great practice singing covers and originals. But I am heading over to Echo, the country music festival in
Oh,
Queensland. So
yes.
I'm in the open section for the talent search, which is
Mhm.
very exciting. That should be fun to participate in. And then I'm going to Gympie just to watch and then perform with the Gympie Songmaster group and show some of the songs we've written. So those two festivals should be really exciting as well. And then heading over to Tamworth should be super fun. I'll be back next year. I love it.
So you've been to the Gympie Songmaster. This was not in your bio, Coral. I didn't know this.
Oh, I just went like
Yeah.
a week or two ago.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
forgive you
yeah.
then.
I just got back, and it was very fun. You write a lot of songs in big groups, and it was lovely to meet everybody and get to write with, I think, almost everybody who was there.
So that was Link Phelps, Melody Moko were there. Jen Myers.
Yes, Jen Mize was there.
Mhm.
And then we had those folk as well were mentors.
Okay. Well, you certainly keep yourself busy on the music front and put
Yes,
great music and great videos as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing what comes next. But I'm going to leave it
thank
there for
you.
now. I have no doubt I'll talk to you again. So thank you for your
Yes,
time.
I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.